some warmer water that doesn't give me hypothermia and make me freeze to death. And I'm not in any old part of Australia, I'm in Queensland. Now, to be more specific, I am in the town of 1770. Now, the reason it's called that, because in the year 1770, an explorer named Captain James Cook landed here. Now, speaking of exploring, I'm gonna do some exploring of my own. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start down on the coast, go around in the ocean, on the beach and whatever. Then I'm gonna make my way up into the Outback, and maybe I'll get to see a kangaroo. So, of course, I'm gonna do some fishing because I'm me, and things to watch out for, like, we'll start out in the water. There's stonefish, stingray, jellyfish, sharks maybe, whatever. You gotta be careful because stepping on a stonefish could ruin your trip. Now, once you make it more up into the Outback, you gotta watch out for snakes, animals. You don't want to sneak up on a kangaroo because you might karate kick you into oblivion. Or you gotta also watch out for the heat because it can get really brutal. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and find a man that goes by the name of Jerry. Now, Jerry's an expert on the Australian nature, wildlife everywhere, and he also knows a lot about the Aborigines. So, I'll learn some stuff from him and go see him and do whatever. And here is my backpack. I've got my knife for supplies, I got a map, I got some other stuff in here. So, how about you say we get exploring? Okay, you guys, so I've been hiking around the coast a little while. I came across a burdekin tree. Now, a burdekin tree has a little fruit on it. They're actually plums. So, I'll try one of these and see how it tastes. I'll describe the taste to you, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Now this is the one that fell on the ground, had a little more time to prune. It looks like a sunset. It's not as squishy as some of the other ones that you can find on the ground, but it's a little more sweet. And they're a very good snack if you're like hiking around. Just make sure you know your plants before you eat them because you don't want to mess up and get a poisonous one and die. These are like palm tree branches. We're gonna have a little tour of it. First off, it's really smooth right here. Then it's sort of like a funnel type thing. I'm guessing you could funnel water if you put these out, like maybe at a cup at the end when the rain came down and land in here and go down, so you could collect water like that. But I'll continue the tour. So they would normally have spikes right here, but they've got worn away. But you can see the spikes that are still right here. They're very pokey in every which way, sort of like a little flame wave design type thing. So you gotta be careful. If this were to fall on you, it would hurt really bad. It would slice you up with these little spikes. If it were to fall on your tent, it would just ruin your tent, and it might even injure you inside of it. Okay, you guys, so I was doing some late night fishing out here, and I finally got one, just using some type of weird little worm. I'm not quite sure what this guy is. I've researched tons of fish, but there's just so many. I must not have covered this guy. As you can see, he's pretty cool. He's got yellow fins and a little black spot. Got some teeth in his mouth. Right. He had an old rusty hook that was stuck in his mouth that I don't know, someone must have snapped their line or something and the hook didn't come out of his mouth, but we got it up and we saved him. Swim, fishy, swim. And there he goes. Okay, you guys, so I ran into Jerry, and now we're gonna have some boomerang practice. So I've already gotten a couple of pointers from him, and as you can see here, I have a boomerang, and my boomerang has a kangaroo on it. Now, there's always different sorts of designs on it. There's also different shapes that you can have as your boomerang. You can have it more straight. This one's kind of got a curve on it. The straighter, longer ones are used for hunting. Like if you throw it into a flock of birds, you're bound to hit one of them, they'll fall out of the sky, and then you can eat it for lunch. Plus, they've got some bright colors on them, so you're able to find your boomerang after it hits your bird. What you gotta do when you're holding this is you're gonna have the design point inwards, sort of hold it like a pen in your hand, and you can put one foot in front of the other, sort of use your other arm as a guide. When you've got it in your hand, you got your foot position, you got your hand for aiming. What you want to do is sort of throw it into the wind at a little bit of an angle, not completely upright, and hope that it comes back to you. So I'll see if I can have it come back to me. Okay, now come back. And here is Jerry, the guy who showed me how to throw the boomerangs and taught me all sorts of cool tricks about the Australian wilderness. He knows a ton about the Aborigines, and he also happens to be a professional leaf blower person, and we'll see if he can play a tune with his leaf.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Thank you, Alec. For those of you that that was Waltzing Matilda, the Australian national anthem, and this was performed on a traditional Aussie gum leaf. The local indigenous people used to get very clear and melodious notes from this to accompany them with the didgeridoo and the clapsticks. So the musical world of ancient Australia was a beautiful place. Back to you, Alec. Try taking these two fingers off so that these two fingers aren't actually touching.
Just with my lips? Or?
Yeah, hold your two fingers so that it's under so that this is allowed to vibrate freely.
Mm-hmm. And now back to Jerry. Well, thank you for showing me all these wonderful tricks about the Australian wilderness and telling me all your stories. And thank you for showing me how to throw a boomerang. And personally, I think you should start a band with your leaf playing.
That could all happen.
Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
hope I'll
too.
see you again.
Thanks, Alec.
Okay, you guys, so I've been camping in Australia, of course. And there's some really different things about camping in Australia to camping in America.
And one of the things is that people put a lot into camping in Australia. Like, you just look around, I've seen all sorts of crazy contraptions that people use. Like, look at that. It's transformers everywhere, pop-up things. See cars towing things that pop up into other things. They have living rooms, kitchens, whatever. You can rent vans with everything in them, like a mini RV or whatever. But it's just crazy what I've seen so far. And also, they've got like a little kitchen thing over here. And I've never seen one of these in Texas before, so it's really interesting. It's like a little kitchen. It's got like sinks and soap and stuff and little stoves, and it's got a fridge in it. And I'm really surprised that like the system works. Everything's clean in there. Nothing went wrong. Like, it's all good in there, so it's really cool to see. There it is. So you got a little table to hold your stuff on. You got a gas grill there, or griddle or whatever you want to call it. You got another one right there. A little like something toaster thingy. Over here you got a dumpster. You got your sinks with the soap and all the washing materials, and you got a fridge and a freezer. So it's pretty cool. And everything looks pretty spotless. So good job, Australia. Okay, you guys, so I'm out fishing. I just got a little bit of shrimp on and a little bobber, a little tiny hook. But out in the shallows, like right here in this little clear water, there's all sorts of fish, but there's also a fish called the toadfish. Now, I don't really want to catch the toadfish because they're poisonous and they inflate and they can hurt me. So I'll just try and lure them in and see if you can spot them underwater. Okay, you guys, so I was out here fishing and my bobber went underwater and I reeled it in, and this little guy, he's a crab by the way if you can't tell, was holding on. I named him Spike because if you look at him, I'm holding on to two spikes. He's got spikes all over his claws as well. So we will set Spike down and see what he does. But I was just using like a little worm and a bobber, and he must have grabbed it, and man, once crabs like grab onto their food and start eating, there's no getting them off. They just hold onto the hook while you reel them in and pull them up and everything. But obviously this guy is way too small to eat, and he does have claws, so I gotta be careful. And if you just follow me over to the water, I will set him right here. And here comes the water. He likes the water. Run, Spike, run. Oh God, there he goes. He just dug under the sand. Okay, guys. So, I've been hiking. Now, this place is called the Catwalk. But this catwalk isn't for any models. Because if you break a heel and fall, you'll most likely die. Because it's like 100-foot drops here. So you got to be really careful here. If you slip on a rock, it's not going to be good. Boy, I've seen tons of amazing views here. I've learned quite a few cool little facts about Australia. Like, did you know there's 22 million people in Australia and there's 120 million goats? So one day if the goats rise up in Australia, you got to be careful. And if you think about Australia, it's like the emu and the kangaroo. Now, did you know that the emu and the kangaroo can't go backwards? So they say, as a nation, Australia will always keep moving forwards and it won't go backwards. But did you know that if the kangaroo is like cornered or anything, it can shuffle backwards? But it doesn't really walk backwards. It's really hard for them to go backwards. But I'll give you one more cool view. Look at that bird flying up there.
And speaking of moving forward, I'm gonna see if I can make my way to the other side of the catwalk, because the sun's going down over there, so it'll be bright and real cool looking and it'll be such a view. So let's go. Okay, you guys, so I think I'm about halfway there. And if you can just see out behind me, we just need to take a moment to appreciate this view. Like, you got the green trees, the palm trees everywhere, you got the beautiful sunset, and the nice blue water. That's just great view. But out here on the catwalk, it's known for its giant fish that you can catch. Like in here, fishermen have come out with their 80-pound line, get up on the rocks, cast into the waves with like a piece of whatever, giant piece of fish. And there's Spanish mackerel out here, they got different types of tuna, and they've even recorded 5-foot cod. Like, that's huge for a cod. But sadly, I don't have the line to catch those kind of fish. That'd be really fun, but they'd probably yank me into the water, since most of them weigh more than me. But once I get to the other side of the catwalk, the view will surely be astonishing. Okay, you guys, it's getting a little dicey here, so how about I just push you guys ahead so you guys can watch for tree snakes. And here's one of those palm tree branches that if it fell on your tent, it could really mess you up. It's also got spikes. But we'll keep moving. It's getting a little windy, a little bit darker, and I gotta be careful because there's some really steep areas around here. Well, see you guys when I get there. Okay, you guys, we finally made it, and just look at this view. We can't really go any further because the trail kind of cuts off and it becomes more deadly than it already is. But I'll stand up here on this rock and I'll just show you. Here's a little higher one. Man, look at that blue water right there. That could be a very treacherous fall. Get some big fish out there that would be fun to catch but would pull me in. Probably take an hour to reel in. Blue water, nice for scuba diving. Now this place would be amazing fishing, but you can see how it's kind of difficult to get all the way down there. So I am right here. There's like a 20-foot drop, 40-foot drop, 100 feet, all the way down there. But it's a beautiful view from up here, so I don't really need to go down there. It's a good day, mate!